Greetings. I'd like to thank you for joining me today for this video regarding the new moon in Aries. I am Queen Elle from QueenElle79, and as you can tell, my voice is not quite there yet. It's getting there. I will tell you, I feel a lot better since my last video. My voice is not quite there yet, but I just thank you all for bearing with me today. This video is regarding the new moon in Aries, which is taking place in the wee hours of the morning on Tuesday, March 24th. And as we're preparing for that, the new lunar phase, I would like to request that everyone please start to set their intentions for this new lunar phase. Start to, if you're not already, start meditating. And the new lunar cycle, it's all about new beginnings, if you will. And so, with regard to this particular new moon, um, we know that with it being in Aries, Aries is a fire sign. So, fire signs are all about boldness. And if you haven't checked out my Aries video, please check that out as well, just for a word for our Aries brothers and sisters. But for the spread for today, I do have some specific topics. I felt led to um, focus on 5 cards today for this reading. And I will kind of break down. I'm looking down at my journal. So if you don't journal, I highly encourage you to do so. I like to have my journal next to my bed at night so that when I wake up in the morning, or sometimes even in the middle of the night, I may be awakened out of my sleep and need to just to kind of get my thoughts down on paper. As I've said in a previous video, I also have a diary app on my phone, but my preference is to um, is to put a pen to paper, and I like to just look back at it. I'm real old school in that way. If you notice the camera wobbling a little bit, please forgive me. I actually have my computer or my laptop sitting on my lap, so I just wanted to make this a really personal video today. So we'll dive right in. Like I said, make sure you set your intentions for this new lunar cycle. Make sure you do your meditations. It's almost like a spring cleaning, except you get to do that with every new lunar cycle. So we have, a lot of people focus on the new moon and the full moon regarding their intentions for each cycle. But there are things that you could actually do with every phase of that lunar cycle. But for the new moon, it is very important to start things fresh. It's like you have a chance to do things all over again. So, with regard to this one, the first topic is asking the question, what do we need to focus on during this lunar cycle? So, what do we need to focus on this lunar cycle? We have the Two of Swords, and I'm using my Modern Witch Tarot deck. So, please feel free to check out my unboxing video on that deck, where I kind of dug deep into some of the cards, as well as just talking about the format of the cards and how they look. So, the Two of Swords, that's what do we need to focus on during this lunar cycle? Excuse me. Now, what I would say is the Two of Swords, um, so it has a bit of divisiveness, I would say. There is the woman who's sitting there blindfolded, and she has the two swords in her hands. Um, she's very calm and relaxed in her demeanor, so it's definitely not a cause for alarm. But she does have there's that balance, if you will, of trying to weigh the different options. And I would say, with regard to what we need to focus on during this lunar cycle, um, I've said it before. I mean, it's really important not to worry when we're dealing with decisions that we have to make, it's important to seek guidance, to seek proper counsel, and that goes back into what I was saying about the meditating. And take a spiritual bath. If you're not familiar with that, you can Google that. There are different things that you could use. Some people use Epsom salts. Some people use coconut milk. Um, but it's definitely important to tap into source when you think of a new beginning. And with regard to the Two of Swords, um, there is a decision to be made. There, there's a calmness to it, but as you could tell with the waters that are kind of choppy behind her, but she is very calm and relaxed in the way that she is dealing with the situation at hand. It's just important to not um, let yourself be be swayed with any type of issue that you have going on with yourself right now. I mean, obviously, there's the overarching theme that's going on in the world, but I'm speaking about you personally. It's important for you personally to not let yourself be consumed with any decisions that you have at hand, and to turn it inward instead of focusing on the outer realm. It's important for you to focus on what's going on inside of you. And if you have any type of decisions that you need to make within yourself, I say to never act in haste. Definitely to seek some spiritual counsel, either on your own through meditation, either through connecting with some spiritualists like myself. There are a lot of resources out there on the internet, on social media, but definitely be careful to make sure that you're seeking wise counsel and not just listening to anyone, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Um, there are some fear mongers that are out there, I'll say that, but there are also some others who are, their intent is to just make us better prepared. So it's important that you actually um, use your intuition and use sound judgment with regard to the decisions that you have to make in this coming lunar cycle. Okay, so the next one is the obstacle. So here's the obstacle with regard to what we need to focus on. Okay, the obstacle, the Page of Pentacles. Now, you know that the Pentacles, the focus is um, matters of finance, of I look at the Pentacles as kind of like the power suit of the minor arcana. And the page, so the page is one who um, has it almost figured out, isn't all the way there yet. It's important that with regard to matters of finances, I mean, I know that things are tight right now with everyone. I know that we're kind of spread thin with everything that we have going on right now. We're spread thin with our resources. We're spread thin with um, just communication. I mean, there's a wealth of information out there, but as far as really feeling connected, there's a bit of a disconnect going on, obviously, with the whole social distancing thing and everyone being remote. But I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as a great thing because it gives you that additional time to connect with self, to connect with your source, to connect with the spirit guides, with the ancestral realm. Use this time wisely. Use this time to even connect with nature. Um, whether it's stepping outside from time to time, if you don't feel comfortable doing so, or for health or security reasons, you're not able to do so. There are ways to connect with nature. Sometimes, to be honest, if I see sunlight coming through a window like this one, I will literally turn my face towards the window, open the blinds, and just close my eyes and just let the sun shine down on my face. And I can feel the warmth from the sun, literally and figuratively. And so I'm telling you, this is a time to really connect um, with nature and with spirit. And even though, like, this is an obstacle with our resources, and finances, it's important to know that this is all temporary. It truly is. And as long as you tap into the spirit realm, the ancestral realm, um, you will never feel or really see that lack that we know could happen. I mean, I'm not a hypochondriac, but I'm definitely someone that likes to think of every type of scenario. And I hate to say worst case scenario, but I am someone who will think of those things just to, you know, make sure that I'm fully like informed as far as what could happen. Not necessarily what is likely to happen, but what could happen. And so it's easy to let your mind go there, but I'm telling you, this is temporary, and you'll be better for it in the long run. And I'm not just saying that. So that's a potential obstacle if you let it be an obstacle. Do not let yourself become worried. I know people are frantic, people are out there in the stores and just wiping shelves clean. And I mean, I get it. I get it because no one, I mean, there may be some people who were prepared for this type of thing, but for the most part, people were just living their daily lives and no one was really, um, you know, set up for this type of situation. But we're here. This is our reality and it's outside of our control. And if I've learned nothing else, it's to be at peace with things that I have absolutely no control over. What you can control is how you let it affect you and how you let it affect your home space and your peace of mind and your spirit. And so it's important to um, retain that sense of sanity and hold on to the things that you can control, okay? So, tools or resources to assist us with that obstacle and with what we need to focus on for this lunar cycle. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So, the Wheel of Fortune, something that I like. So, I mean, there are people who look at it in different ways. One thing that I will say, because this goes back to what I was just saying, I'm going to focus on what I feel led to speak about with regard to these cards. So this, as you can see, I'll hold this up for a moment. The Wheel of Fortune, it has different connotations just in the tarot world. But just looking at this card and looking at how, as you see, there's representation from all four elements, earth, air, water, and fire. There's representation from all of from an astrological term realm. There's representation from the different, not just the zodiacs, but the different seasons along with those elements. This card gives me a very, um, it goes back to me talking about peace. It gives me a very strong sense of reassurance. And I'm telling you, so this one is representing, as I noted, the tools or resources to assist us. When I tell you to tap into source, I mean it. I mean it. Tap into source, connect with others. The resources that we have may not necessarily be monetary, may not necessarily be, everything that you like to eat. I like eating at home, but if you're someone who is used to, let's say, eating out or visiting other people and eating with them, that type of thing, this could be a very difficult time for you. But I'm telling you, it's all about your perspective. And the resources that we have may not necessarily be tangible in the traditional sense, but they really are tangible because you can feel the difference. When I meditate, I feel the difference. Doing yoga with my children, I feel the difference afterwards, the connection that that gives us. It's important to, like, other times when I journal, I know I mentioned journaling, just having my journal along my bedside, but also after doing these readings, I like to journal how it made me feel. I do daily card pulls on my Instagram page and Facebook, and they're both QueenElle79. And I like to journal how the card that I pulled each day made me feel. it's important to really connect with the ancestral realm in that way. And like I said, the tools and resources that we have, um, what will be considered that wheel of fortune is not necessarily fortune in the monetary sense, but fortune in the spiritual sense, fortune in the just as far as your peace is concerned, your peace of mind, and being of sound spirit, and the growth that you will see over this time. I feel like the people who will get the most out of this time are, I'm sorry, I can see my laptop moving. I'm sorry. Okay. The people who will see and get the most, who will reap the benefit of this time that we have essentially sequestered, um, are the people who will really tap into source, are the people who will really use the time wisely, and not necessarily wisely as far as always on social media and just kind of, I see more of the challenges popping up. And for some people, that sense of entertainment, that is what will get them by. That's their way of keeping, their sanity. I can only speak for myself and what I feel led to talk about. It's really important to not just focus on what is fun or what seems to be trending, but focus on what will enrich you and what you will get the most out of. Pardon me. What brings me joy, what gives me peace of mind is connecting with you. It's of sharing the insight that I'm being given through my intuition from the ancestral realm and my spirit guides. That's what I feel led to do. If you are feeling at a loss right now because of this disconnect from the outside world in the physical sense, um, definitely do some reading. Think about the things that you're passionate about, the hobbies that maybe you've put on the back burner that you haven't been able to focus on because you've had so much else going on. You've been so busy just dealing with daily life. Well, now go back to those things. If you used to read and you used to enjoy that, do some reading. If you used to like to sing and dance, sing and dance. You can do that from home or from wherever you are. If you used to like to paint or draw or write, do those things and you will feel that sense of joy. They will definitely enrich your lives and the lives of anyone that you choose to share that gift with, because we all have those gifts, whether or not we tap into them. So, the tools and resources are um, ourselves, but also that spirit world, the ancestral realm, and you will reap the benefit from tapping into those gifts and connecting with source, whether it's a monetary thing. I mean, because you will start to see more services popping up, virtual services, people starting to use their talents to connect with the masses. And um, I think that this is a good thing. I really do feel that way. Okay, so the next one is, what do we need to leave behind? Okay, so we have the Six of Pentacles, and it's interesting. So I pulled this card. I pulled it. It might have been my Aries reading. Don't quote me, but it might be my. Actually, I have it in my notes. Let's see. Yes. So my Aries video, this was the first card that I pulled up. And at first glance, the card definitely is speaking to the gifts that we have. But with regard to what do we need to leave behind, I feel like the one thing to leave behind is definitely not your gifts, because, like I said, gifts are things that I want everyone to tap into and to start utilizing those gifts that you didn't used to use, or that you've been just kind of like putting aside so that you can focus on, other things with your life. But with regard to what we need to leave behind in these this Six of Pentacles, I would say leave behind spreading yourself thin. Don't do that. Excuse me. Definitely don't spread yourself too thin. Um, Something that this time that we have is teaching us and will is basically encouraging us to do is to slow down and to take our time, because now we have more time to do that. However, it will become easy when you're tapping into those gifts to think, okay, well, man, I used to like doing like 5 different things. So I'm just going to do everything that I haven't had the time to do. I'm going to do it all. Well, whoa there. Don't do that. I would say if nothing is sticking out to you, like 1 or 2 things that you really feeling called to do, I would say to pray about it or meditate. Whatever you do that, where you feel that you're being given some type of insight or a message, connect with the spiritualist. Myself, there are plenty of people out there. Connect with someone in the physical or virtual sense, or on your own time, and just to try to really hone in on what that gift is that you should really focus on during this time. But I mean, if let's say nothing stands out and there are literally a handful of things that you think of, either a handful of tasks on your personal honeydew list that you haven't been able to do, but now you're like, great, I'm going to be able to do all of this stuff now and get all of this done. Just slow down, take it easy, and prioritize. So if it's a list of things to do around the house, prioritize that list and just get done what you can get done. Definitely don't start a bunch of different things and not finish them, because, you know, we don't know how long this is going to last. Let's say we go this lunar cycle that's coming up. So that's, the next approximately, I could tell you, I also have my calendar. The next full moon is April 7th. Okay. So April 7th that's just 2 weeks from now. Okay. What we don't want to do is, let's say, over between now and the full moon, you're like, okay, I'm just going gun ho and I'm just going to give it my all and I'm going to tackle all these things on my list. Um, you don't want to start a bunch of things and not finish them, because that sense of, um, a lack of accomplishment, it will kind of weigh on you. What you want to do is, like I said, prioritize those things and just tackle them one at a time. I mean, truly, you'll feel much better by knocking things off of your list instead of starting a bunch of mini projects that don't ever get finished. Believe me, I know that personally from things that I started in the past and never finished. So it's easy to also get into or interested in new hobbies that, I've never tried knitting, but I think I'm going to knit today. Great, but it's important to, again, it's great to try new things, but don't let yourself diversify or spread yourself out so thin that you really don't get anything done. You just stick your toe in the water on multiple things. Just really hone in on exactly what you want to do. Try a couple of things. You could try a few things, and then once you decide what you really want to do, focus on that. Do not spread yourself too thin. So that's definitely something to leave behind. And really, when we're like in the hustle and bustle of everyday life prior to this time, it's been easy to just be on like go mode, like 10 all the time. Well, this is the time to really slow down and to take it easy, and to then, give your undivided attention to something for a change. Our minds really were not made to multitask, times 5 or 10 different things, but to really focus on, a couple of things. A phrase that it came in my mind over the past couple of days is a jack of all trades, but master of none. It's easy to be good at several things, but to not be great at anything because you're just spreading yourself so thin. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now, the last card is the final outcome, what to expect for this lunar cycle. Okay, we have the Queen of Wands. Now, this Queen of Wands, I will, something that I love is that theme. So I've read about the theme of cats in the tarot deck, and the black cat is really a sign of luck. First, I want, if you don't get a chance to check out my unboxing video, I just want you to look at this woman and the diversity that's in this deck, which I love. Lisa Sterl did a really great job of that. Just the diversity, looking at the woman. Anyway, so this Queen of Wands, now looking at the sunflower that she has in her hand, that is, it's a sign of fruition, bringing things into fruition, growth, new life. And this is the new lunar cycle, so it's very apropos. Also, the Queen of Wands. So, wands represent um, our intuition, and that kind of, flows with what I was saying about tapping into those gifts and using the resources we have, which are our spirit guides. So, it's really important to um, be that Queen of Wands, which means that you have a sense of accomplishment. You've mastered something. So the final outcome after doing what I'm saying, as far as really tapping into, the spirit guides and source in the ancestral realm, to really hone in on what those gifts are that you should be focusing on. And then once you actually put, your focus into them, then this is the final outcome. It's the Queen of Wands. So what I do want to do is, see, going to see what the author has to say. This is my guidebook for this one. What she has to say about the Queen of Wands, just to see if there's anything to add to what I was just saying. And I like to do this from time to time. I always like to just let my intuition guide me with my readings. And then I might take a look just to see, what, just to see what the author has to say, depending on the deck that I use. So the author of this deck says the Queen is bursting with life and infectious energy, and you can't help feeling like you could take on the world when you're around her. Her confidence and get-to-itness is so powerful. She motivates you to do shit. If you're the queen, life is giving it all to you right now. Good luck, ideas, friends, promotions. So channel this bounty into confidence. You know your strengths and weaknesses and how to utilize all your skills to get to get what you want. So get it. So yeah, so that I'm glad I read that. So that just gives just a little extra, insight into what I was saying with regard to that particular card. So it's just important that you, again, do not spread yourself too thin this lunar cycle. Tap into those gifts, because this time, I mean, let's use this time wisely. Let's use it to benefit us, to benefit the collective. We're here for each other, and it's important to not let outside forces to dictate how you feel on the inside, and the peace that you have within your home, your oasis. So that's what I have today, and I look forward to speaking with you all really soon. Set those intentions, get them down on paper. I like to write them down so that I can go back and look at them throughout the lunar cycle. So please be sure to do that. Do your meditation daily. There are plenty of resources online for that as well. And again, I thank you all for bearing with me with my voice. I can hear it. It's gradually coming back. Thanks again. Please feel free to visit me on Facebook as well as Instagram. I'm QueenElle79, signing out. Have a great day. Blessings. Ashe.